Welcome to our channel Scary Sagas, where we bring you the most amazing true horror stories. I and a buddy from my squad found ourselves responding to an alarm call at an old office building, which had been repurposed as doctors' offices, with a pharmacy attached. Our dispatch had received a motion signal from an upstairs office, prompting us to act swiftly. Upon our arrival, the key holder, a responsible individual who held access to the building, joined us as we prepared to secure the premises. We proceeded to enter the building, only to discover that the stairs leading upstairs were locked behind a door for which the key holder did not possess the keys. Without an alternative, we made the decision to utilize the elevator and ascend to the second floor. As the elevator doors opened, we were greeted by an eerie sight of pitch-black hallway, with the exception of a single overhead light illuminating the far end. With caution, we began our task of checking each office door, ensuring their security. Room after room, we encountered locked doors, signifying no immediate signs of intrusion. However, as we reached the final office, we made a startling realization: door was unlocked. Taking a collective breath, we entered the office, only to find it abandoned and devoid of any signs of recent activity. The spacious waiting room and reception area lay before us, accompanied by a series of examination rooms, all cleared without any unusual incidents. Satisfied with our inspection, we exited the office, ready to report our findings. However, a sense of unease washed over us as we stepped back into the hallway. The overhead light that had been previously illuminating the end of the corridor had inexplicably gone dark, replaced by another light situated above the elevators. My companion's demeanor immediately changed, his expression a mix of confusion and concern. He questioned, "Weren't all those doors we just checked closed and locked?" I affirmed his observation, acknowledging that indeed they were secured. With a trembling voice, my buddy informed me, "Well, now they're all standing open." It was as if an invisible force had altered the state of the doors we had meticulously examined moments ago. A sense of foreboding gripped us as we realized that something otherworldly might be at play within the confines of the building. Determined to maintain our composure, we resolved to clear and secure each office once again. With trepidation gnawing at our minds, we proceeded cautiously, ensuring that each room remained undisturbed. As we completed the final office, a chilling incident unfolded, further intensifying the already palpable tension. Just as we were about to turn the corner and make our way back to the waiting area, the main entrance door suddenly slammed shut with a resounding thud. The abruptness of the event sent shivers down our spines, exacerbating our growing unease. To make matters worse, our radios began emitting a cacophony of static feedback, disrupting the otherwise eerie silence that surrounded us. The hair on the back of our necks stood on end as we grappled with the inexplicable phenomenon unfolding before us. Seeking an escape from the unsettling environment, we hastened our retreat, making our way back to the elevator. Descending to the first floor, we expected to reunite with the key holder and relay the disturbing events that had transpired. However, upon our arrival, we were met with bewilderment. Key holder was nowhere to be found. Perplexed, I contacted dispatch, requesting a callback number for the key holder, intending to update them on the situation. To my astonishment, the dispatcher informed me that we had not been in contact with the key holder at all. A chill ran down my spine as I grasped the gravity of the situation. It became apparent that we had encountered a supernatural presence masquerading as the key holder. leading us into the building. A surge of questions flooded my mind. Who was this mysterious figure? And why did they guide us into the depths of an unsettling realm? Seeking answers, I reached out to dispatch once more, describing the appearance of the individual who had accompanied us. To my astonishment, the description matched that of one of the doctors who had leased an office on the second floor, an individual who had tragically taken their own life at their summer home several days prior. The revelation sent shivers down my spine, solidifying the presence of an otherworldly entity within the building. The experience had left an indelible mark on my psyche, rendering me unwilling to set foot in that place ever again. The memory of that fateful night serves as a constant reminder of the mysteries that exist beyond our comprehension, reminding me to tread cautiously in the face of the unknown. To this day, I still ponder the true nature of the supernatural force that had deceived us and the unfinished business that may linger within those walls. Some mysteries are best left untouched, concealed in the shadows of the past, where they belong. It was a stormy night, with thunder rumbling ominously overhead. Though the rain refused to fall, in the eerie hours between 2:30 and 3 a.m., a welfare check call came through, summoning me to the residence of an elderly woman who lived next door to the concerned caller. She had not been seen for weeks, raising concerns for her well-being. Arriving at the complainant's house, I sought to gather more information about the elderly woman's situation. The caller informed me that the lady next door was in her 90s and lived alone, and despite her attempts to check on her, she had received no response. As I listened, a sense of foreboding settled within me, suggesting that something far more sinister might be at play. Approaching the neighbor's home, I observed telltale signs that heightened my suspicions. The car, covered in a thick layer of dust, had not been touched for some time. The mail left unattended had accumulated into a mound, a silent testament to the absence of human presence. Not a single light flickered from within the dwelling. Starting at the side door, I rapped upon it with my flashlight, the sound reverberating through the stillness of the night. Yet, no response greeted my efforts. Determined to leave no stone unturned, I ventured to the backyard, scanning the windows for any signs of activity. Everything appeared tranquil and undisturbed. Engaging in conversation with the concerned neighbor, I discovered that she was unaware of any relatives who could shed light on the elderly woman's situation. It seemed increasingly likely that her absence might be permanent, and a sense of sorrow washed over me. Returning to the front of the house, I noticed that the blinds on the front windows were drawn up, revealing a faint glow emanating from within. However, the height of the windows posed a challenge, as I was unable to peer inside without assistance. Acting swiftly, the neighbor retrieved a bucket to elevate me to a level where the interior would be revealed. Standing on the bucket, I gazed through the window and was met with a surreal sight. The source of the glow was a television screen, cast in a haunting blue hue. I surveyed the living room, hoping to spot the elderly woman. However, every piece of furniture, from the couch to the recliner, stood empty. The telephone home base, adorned with blinking red lights, hinted at missed calls and unanswered voicemails. My attention was then drawn to a dimly lit hallway that extended from the living room. With the aid of my flashlight, I could discern an open door at the end of the corridor. Darkness shrouded the remainder of the hallway, obscuring any further visibility. There were no signs of life or movement. Feeling a mixture of relief and trepidation, I turned to inform the complainant that everything appeared undisturbed. But as I pivoted back towards the window, an overwhelming sensation of dread consumed me. A frail figure, the elderly woman, had materialized in the hallway. Clad in a long nightgown, she stood with her back toward me, her presence sending shivers down my spine. Slowly, she turned her head, casting a sideways glance that pierced through my soul. Then, with an eerie deliberation, she retreated from view, vanishing into the shadows of the darkened hallway. It was a sight that would haunt my nightmares. Startled by this otherworldly encounter, I lost my footing and tumbled off the bucket, crashing onto the ground. The complainant rushed to my aid, offering assistance, but I recoiled, driven by an inexplicable urge to be on guard. Pushing her away, I quickly regained my composure and ascended once again onto the bucket. My heart raced within my chest, and with one hand on my firearm and the other pressed against the window, I peered cautiously into the abyss. But the frail figure had disappeared, leaving behind only the enigmatic remnants of her presence. I glanced at the perplexed complainant, unable to articulate the full weight of what I had just witnessed. All I managed to say, breathlessly, was, "I saw her," as if the universe itself had conspired to heighten the atmosphere of the uncanny. The wind picked up, and the rain began to fall. With a sense of urgency, I retraced my steps back to my patrol car parked along the road. Turning to the bewildered complainant, I felt compelled to issue a stern warning. "Don't come back here." Driving away, my thoughts were consumed by unanswered questions. Who was that elderly woman? What was her connection to the strange occurrences within the house? And what lay hidden within the depths of that dark hallway? Sadly, the truth remains elusive. The elderly woman's fate remains a mystery, for the complainant never reached out again, and the house eventually found new occupants. Some enigmas, it seems, are destined to remain forever unsolved, their secrets locked away in the confines of the unknown. As a dedicated worker on county roads, my duty often takes me to remote and desolate areas, far away from the conveniences of modern life. It was during one such late night shift, around 3 a.m., that a sudden urge forced me to seek relief and seek out the nearest bathroom. With the nearest restroom a daunting 30-minute drive away, I made the decision to pull down a dark gravel road, hoping to find a secluded spot to attend to my pressing need. Little did I know that this decision would lead me into the realm of the unexplained and leave an indelible mark on my psyche. As I relieved myself, a peculiar sensation crept over me, a feeling that I was being observed. A chill ran down my spine, and an instinctual urge compelled me to glance toward the rear bumper of my vehicle. To my shock, a mere 20 feet behind my unit, I discerned the presence of a shadowy figure standing in the darkness. Startled and abruptly interrupted, I quickly halted my ask and called out to the figure, believing it to be a person. However, no response came forth from the mysterious silhouette. I hesitated, unsure of the intentions of the enigmatic observer, entertaining thoughts of an irate landowner who had discovered my presence and intended to confront me for my indiscretion. Attempting to defuse the situation, I offered an apology, anticipating a voice to respond and identify themselves. Yet, silence enveloped the night, and my words were met with an eerie absence of acknowledgement. It was at this moment that a profound unease settled within me, and I instinctively shifted into a defensive stance, demanding that the figure reveal their hands and disclose their identity. To my dismay, my challenges were met with nothing but a disconcerting silence. Frustrated and growing increasingly wary, I decided to employ my flashlight, illuminating the area to uncover the truth. However, as the beam traversed the space where the figure stood just moments ago, it was as if they had vanished into thin air. The encounter had been brief, lasting no more than 20 seconds, yet it left me with a profound sense of bewilderment and trepidation. Surveying my surroundings, I strained to catch any signs of movement or the sound of footsteps retreating through the brush. Yet, all I encountered was an unsettling stillness that hung in the air. A sense of foreboding gripped me as I prepared to retreat to the safety of my vehicle. But before I could make my escape, a bone-chilling sight unfolded before my eyes. Glancing back one final time, I witnessed the shadowy figure emerge once again, steadily advancing toward me from the spot where I had last seen them. My heart raced, and a surge of adrenaline coursed through my veins. I knew instinctively that conventional weapons would be useless against a spectral entity that defied the laws of the physical world. Fear compelling me into action, I wasted no time. I swiftly sought refuge within the confines of my unit, my heart pounding in my chest as I gripped the steering wheel tightly. Engaging the engine, I accelerated away from the haunting scene, leaving behind the enigmatic figure in the darkness. In the aftermath of that harrowing encounter, questions plagued my thoughts. What had I witnessed that night? Was it a wandering spirit, a ghostly presence tethered to that desolate road? Answers eluded me, and the experience became a haunting memory that lingers in the depths of my mind. To this day, the encounter serves as a chilling reminder of the existence of realms beyond our comprehension, realms inhabited by entities that defy explanation. Is a testament to the thin veil that separates the tangible from the ethereal, reminding us of the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. So, as I continue my work on the county roads, I am ever mindful of the unseen forces that may lurk in the shadows, ever watchful and waiting to reveal their enigmatic nature. For bullets may pierce flesh and bone, but when confronted with the otherworldly, we are left defenseless, at the mercy of forces far beyond our mortal realm. A few years back, prior to becoming a sworn law enforcement officer, I worked as a security guard at a hospital. It may sound cool, and in some ways, it was, except for the fact that my shifts were from 9 p.m. to 7 o'clock. I worked alone, and the hospital I guarded was an abandoned facility. A year earlier, the hospital had built a brand new facility to replace its old 5-story building dating back to the 1900s. When the employees and patients left, they left everything behind. It was as if the people had vanished in a hurry, leaving behind partially filled coffee mugs, uniforms hanging on coat racks, and wheelchairs scattered throughout the halls, all covered in a thick layer of dust. Being a night owl, I wasn't easily frightened or bothered by the late-night hours. However, this place had a way of getting under your skin. Every night, as I patrolled the supposedly empty and unused halls, I found myself constantly having to close doors and lock them. I would walk through one floor, move up to the next, and repeat the process. It was unsettling when an hour after I had already walked down hallway, I would have to turn off the same set of hallway lights and close the same doors all over again. Or when I heard footsteps above me on the floor, doors opening and closing, elevators moving from level to level, phones ringing, and nurse call lights flashing. There were 3 instances in particular that filled me with genuine dread. The first incident occurred while I was checking offices on the 4th floor. in a locked hallway that hadn't been renovated since the hospital's early days. I noticed a light on. I unlocked the door, turned on the lights, and stepped out. After relocking the door and turning to leave, I heard the distinct sound of a light switch being flipped. Glancing back through the frosted glass, I saw that the lights had been turned back on. I decided to avoid that hallway for the rest of the night. The second incident took place in an elevator between floors. I was riding it to the top floor when, around the fourth or fifth floor, I heard laughter and muffled voices growing louder with each passing floor. As the elevator reached the fifth floor and the doors opened, an eerie silence engulfed the entire floor. Every light was illuminated, including those in the patient rooms. I meticulously searched every nook and cranny, but there wasn't a single living soul present, except for me. The third and most terrifying encounter occurred during an ordinary night. I was on the lower level, locking a door in a dimly lit corridor. The door had a glass panel covered with white tape on the backside, making it appear opaque. The room on the other side was shrouded in darkness, while the hallway a few feet behind me was partially illuminated. As I performed my routine task of locking the door, I suddenly caught sight of a distinct shadowy figure walking past me in the reflection of the glass panel. It was as clear as day, a full outline of a person casually strolling by. I froze for a brief moment, then instinctively ran into the hallway after the figure. But to my astonishment, there was nothing there, just an eerie silence that sent shivers down my spine. After a year of experiencing such inexplicable occurrences, it felt like I should have become an exorcist with all the strange happenings. The other guards who worked the opposite day shift from mine had similar stories, except they often reported seeing nuns walking into the rooms located just outside an old chapel on the third floor. As strange as it may sound, nuns seemed to be a more comforting presence than some unknown entity lurking in the shadows. To this day, I refuse to set foot in that abandoned hospital. The memories of those unsettling nights still haunt me, and I can't shake off the feeling that there was something otherworldly occupying those vacant hallways and rooms. It was an evening like any other, or so we thought. I had just brought in a rowdy individual for domestic violence, and we were in the process of booking him. The sergeant and another patrolman joined me in the bustling booking area, where the atmosphere was charged with tension. As I focused on completing the booking paperwork, my eyes unintentionally wandered toward cell number 1. A man, dressed in a plain white t-shirt and sporting a short haircut and glasses, stood silently within its confines. His intense gaze fixed upon us, and despite the chaos surrounding him, he appeared nervingly calm. Instinctively, I chose to ignore him, fearing that any acknowledgement might trigger an unwanted outburst. With the booking process finished, I escorted Mr. Tough Guy to his designated cell, passing by cell number 1. The enigmatic man continued to stand motionless, his eyes seemingly piercing through our souls. Although an eerie sensation crawled up my spine, I dismissed it as a consequence of the stressful environment. Leaving the booking area, we resumed our duties, temporarily forgetting about the man in cell number 1. However, fate had other plans. Moments later, the sergeant approached me, his voice tinged with urgency. He requested that I review the paperwork to determine if any prisoners were ready for transfer to the county jail. Taking the paperwork, I made my way back to booking, preparing for the routine head count. As I approached cell number 1, a wave of panic washed over me. The cell was empty. I hastily informed the sergeant of the baffling situation, and we both felt a knot tighten in our stomachs. Frantically, we began making phone calls to the detectives, hoping for answers. Yet, each call yielded the same response: man in cell number 1 had not been moved, nor had he been released. Searching for clarity, I consulted the computer records and examined the paperwork once more. Astonishingly, the head count matched the physical count. No one had been placed in cell number 1. In a desperate attempt to understand what had transpired, we ventured into the dispatch office, hoping that the surveillance video would provide some answers. Together, we scrutinized the footage, meticulously rewinding it to the moment of the booking. Our eyes remained fixated on the screen as we fast-forwarded to the point when we all exited the booking area. And that's when it happened. As soon as we walked past the door, the man in cell number 1 blinked out of existence. It was as if he had been swallowed by an ethereal void. The sight left us stunned, our minds grappling with the incomprehensible. Determined to gather evidence, we attempted to transfer the video footage onto a DVD and a USB drive. Yet, inexplicably, the enigmatic figure in cell number 1 was nowhere to be found. It was as if he had never existed within the realm of recorded evidence, defying all logical explanations. Even now, long after that bewildering incident, we occasionally hear whispers and witness peculiar occurrences. Prisoners in the detox tank can be seen engaging in conversations with an unseen entity. Their gaze is directed towards the empty cell number 1. It's as if a presence lingers, haunting the space, existing just beyond our grasp of perception. Needless to say, my apprehension has grown tenfold when it comes to entering the booking area alone. The memory of that encounter continues to weigh on my mind, reminding me that within the realm of law enforcement, there are mysteries that defy explanations and realities that challenge our very understanding of the world. So, as I continue my journey in the world of law enforcement, I remain ever vigilant, knowing that the inexplicable may lurk in the shadows, waiting to reveal itself when least expected. The enigma of cell number 1 will forever serve as a constant reminder that there are depths of the unknown we have yet to fathom, and the line between the tangible and the intangible is far more blurred than we can ever imagine. They seem to like that these stories will leave you with more questions than answers. They are a reminder that sometimes the truth is much darker and more mysterious than we ever imagined. Join us next time on Scary Sagas for other spine-chilling true stories.